Right, so here we've got a L20B. It's gone through its first stage of cleaning, which is just in the wash tank. And the reason we've got it is, well, I mean, it's an American car that hasn't run for years, so you can see that's a lot of build up. So they actually tried to take it to a dyno and have it tuned, but obviously this valve might hinder that somewhat. And I've just taken off all of these bits, like I say, it's the first stage of cleaning, so it still needs to go back in and get some of the rest of this rubbish come off. It's almost, it's getting there. This is in the hot wash tank, so it will go in there again, and then we'll probably put it in the kerosene tank to soak for a few days. But I'm gonna get all these measurements first, so we don't know what it needs yet. So I'll run through that as well, but we do know it needs one valve. We're trying to source just a single valve. They've got, if I can focus this, all of these valves have a decent amount of margin. Let me just, yeah, that's a bit better, easier to see. So although they're a bit tired and they've got a bit of a hook in the seat, they've pretty much all got a fair amount of margin on them. So hopefully what we do is we'll clean all of these up. I don't even think they need tipping, to be fair. They look pretty good. So we might not even need to worry about tipping. We do want to make this right though, but we do want obviously stem heights right and things like that. I would imagine that some of these guides are going to be a little worn, hopefully not. And we can run these guides even if they're a little loose. Again, it's not performance, it's just get it working, get it running. The seats, let me just flip the head over. So the rocker studs, I can't get them out and I'm not going to force them because we don't want to break them. Same as this, can't get this off, I'm not going to force it, we don't need to. I think they did want these welded up if possible, these holes, and because this is an American car, it's got a Californian style inner port, which is really strange. I don't know if I can get them out or not. I don't think I can. I will have a decent look, but I don't think I'll be able to get them out. Gosh, there's a massive gap under there. So right under there, there's a huge gap. So like there's a real underhang underneath it. Once we get it all clean, it will be obviously a bit more obvious. But yeah, I don't know if we can get them out. I mean, it's just going to run a whole lot better. Obviously, that's restricting the exhaust size hugely. Yeah, like I say, we'll weld these up if we can, because these are a steel insert. If it won't weld as a steel insert, we'll pull the steel inserts out or drill them out, and then we'll just weld up the hole with aluminium. They were for some water thing that they don't use anymore, so they're blocking them up. Not doing any port work or anything silly to it, and as cost effective as possible, basically. So we still need to dig out a lot of this crud that's inside. It's pretty bad in there. And I think some of this is going to need potentially welding. I mean, this one is pretty gross. So we just need to be a little bit careful. It's eaten away completely. So I'm not sure what it's supposed to look like, but pretty sure it isn't supposed to be that shape. So we might have to do some repair work there. We'll cut new seats, obviously. You can see where that was that damaged valve. So you can see where it's just gone straight through. Don't know what the seats don't look too bad. That is in, they'll clean up with a nice cut. I haven't really got any, I doubt I've got a cutter that's going to be that suitable. I really want to cut more than one angle, because obviously this has got a single 45 on it. There's no above or below angle. Well, there might be one above. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, this one's clearer. Yeah, no, that's straight into casting. So there might have been a cut on the cutter way above to clear, to unshroud it, but realistically it's one angle. But obviously if I cut a 45 into that, it's just going to make the seat wider and wider and wider and kill flow. So what we'll try and do is we'll probably, it looks like a 2mm seat, we'll probably try and put on a 3 angle with a 2mm seat on it. But overall I think those seats are going to clean up fine. That seat looks really nice. Right, so, and I'll obviously go through the springs and test all the springs, but let's get it back in, get it cleaned. And they came up okay. Really, I need to get a tumbler, but even the seats don't look too bad. But yeah, there's still some crap on some of them, but that's just wire wheeled up. So you can see some pitting and what have you. The exhausts, they're pretty pitted. So I imagine that one just got a hot spot where it got too pitted. So let's just set this up to do the concentricity on the valve head, and we'll see what's coming out there. Right, so I've got the valves in the concentricity tester, and I'm just doing the stems for now. As you can see with me rotating that, we've got some numbers in there. So bear in mind, obviously, me loading this is easily 4/10. So this is a 0.01 of a millimeter. So that there is 4/10. So we're just over 4/10. And what we want to do is check that all of these don't have an issue before we waste our time. Yeah, so we're about 4/10. These should all really read 0. Just double check that one. Oh yeah, I moved it. Okay, cool. To be a little bit more gentle there. Same, like 2/3. So this is the inlet first, and let's just 0 that, get it some kind of 0. And obviously that is about 1,000, couple of tenths. But obviously it doesn't matter, I've got to cut all of them anyway. In fact, that one isn't actually too bad. So obviously I'm not doing the other ones, so we've still got to wait to get the other valves. So there's no point me doing these ones because I want them all done at the same time. We will just check stem heights though, based off of this lip on here, so it doesn't look like there's any huge wear. So they should all sit fairly well. That one's got some weird colouring to it, but doesn't, yeah. And that one's still got some shit on the back that really doesn't want to come off. But that face is nice and clean anyway. We'll just check the heights, make sure they haven't been tipped at some point. They don't look like they have, they actually look really quite clean. Obviously they were tipped at some point in the factory, but none of them have got excessive wear or dimples on them. They actually look really quite nice. So hopefully we won't need to tip these. Yeah, that looks really quite nice. I wouldn't say there's any wear there if I'm honest. Yeah, I mean they look real good. Just go and check the heights though. So is this the most accurate way of doing it? Absolutely not. Will it get you close enough? Yes. So there is a very slight amount. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Let me zoom you in. Yeah, so there is a slight amount of I wouldn't say it, if anything, it's just taper, and that could be where the valve head isn't quite you know, perfect because it's had a lot of abuse. Just clean that off. And I'll just tweak that to 0. And this is a 5/10 gauge. So just tweak it a little bit. Yeah, perfect. I mean, there is maybe 2/10 of deviation in that. Yeah, so this is 5. This actually, this valve, I'll show you in a second, looks like it's been lapped in. So this is, what's that? 2 thou difference. This is the other way. What's that? 3 thou. In the opposite direction. So was it that one? So that's now 5 thou between them two. You can't see them, but and that's again the same. Exhaust. I assume that, yeah. That's interesting. They're a little bit higher. Yeah, slightly higher. Whether it's that, just that one, or no, they're all, and you know, that's just 35. Let's call that. That's slightly over. Let's just check that one again. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, difference in the exhaust is minimal. And what is that total? 5, 10, 15 thou taller on the exhaust. Well, I don't currently know the installed heights, but basically what I want to do is, get this on. I want to get both springs engaged. So what we'll do is we'll do something like a 750. Oh no, too much, because there's not a lot on that, is there? We'll do an 875 roughly install height. Oh. So that'll be fine. Actually, what we do is we'll make it 50 pounds on the seat. So there's 50 pounds on the seat. And we'll do something like 10 mil of lift. Oh, screw it, let's do 12. So 12 mil of lift puts us around the 158 to 160 mark. So let's just write that down. 0 should take us to 50 pounds on the seat, yeah. So 50 seat and 160 at 12, I think I said. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, let's call it 158, because that is closer. Yeah, bang on, and then coming up. Yep, we're good. They're all the same. So I've put the top back on the granite surface, but this is gonna be absolutely fine. Got the stand for it, use it for cranks and cams. So I'm just gonna basically pop this in the phone holder and then we'll spin this over. We'll see if there's any movement. Let's have a little look. I mean, she is good. No problem now. I'm just going to move it over to the other side. Absolutely no problem. So it's basically just making sure we don't have any real issues before we even start, because I'm going to polish all these up, see if we can get the rust off the back edges of these. Won't be too much, hopefully. It'll come up quite nice, I reckon. They only need a little light touch. This one's a bit worse than the rest. Still, yeah, I'll feel that with my nail, so hopefully she'll clean up okay. Right, so after the second cleaning in the wash tank, I'm just digging out all the corrosion that's basically in these waterways, and it's pretty bad. Obviously that one's, I don't know what's happened to that. It looks like it's been blasted or something. Like, it's pretty savage. But yeah, they're all a bit gunky. And it doesn't look like we can take those out. It looks like they're one piece all the way up. And I don't know if you'll be able to see, but there is a serious, let me pick, just give that a clean off. Ugh. There is a serious, like, that the drop there is like 3 mil, 4 mil. So we're taking them out, it's just going to ruin flow anyway. So there's no point taking them out. I don't really know what they're for. It'd need a much different seat, or the bottom of the, well, yeah, the whole seat machining out really. So yeah, I mean, that's going to help a bit of reversion for sure. It's just a bit of a, what is wrong with you? There we go. Yeah, so that little lip there, I mean it's a bit over the top for helping reversion. It's just massive. But you can see that split in that metal that they've put in there. I just don't know how they've got that metal in there. It's crazy. But anyway, I'm going to dig the rest of these out and throw it back in the wash tank, because yeah, in there is, focus, yeah, I mean that is pretty damn disgusting. Right, so I've got the head on the bench. This mic doesn't fit. Basically it only fits on the inner spring, not the outer spring. Could have fitted it upside down? No. So I've used the big boy mic. It does fit, fits fine. It's just a little on the small side. And installed, so I'm checking the installed heights basically before I machine anything off them, so we can basically see how much we're changing it by and just know some basic numbers. So that's 1565. So as you can see, that one there is 570. So what's that? 5 thou difference. So I mean, same valve, same retainer. All the shims I've checked for thickness; they're all the same. So yeah. So 1570. And that one is 522. So that is 5675. So you can kind of see that. I reckon if I gave that a little tweak and a tap, we'd bring it round to the rest of them. We're basically at the same. You can see that that's the same again. But that's the same again. We need to check the guides too. So I'll just go and grab some tools. I'm just going to zero up this mic. So I'm just zeroed that up, so we do know it's reading right. just run through the exhaust and inlet valves, the ones that we've got that work. See if they're the same diameter or they're different diameters. So that is 318 and no tenths, that is money on. That is bang on. That is slightly wider the right at the very top. We are 18 and 2/10. So 18 and 2/10 at the very top there. Yeah, pretty much all the way along actually. 1/10. Just rotate that 90. Just double check that. Yeah, it's slightly ovaled. Interesting. You can see there, AB, slightly under 3113, so it's 3112 and 8/9. I mean, we're not going to worry about it, but definitely there. Just sort of 3 or 4 tenths, so it'll be 7/10 extra clearance on the exhaust. This one's better. Yeah. So they're averaging out at, what is that, 313, 0313 and maybe 5 or 6 tenths. No, not 5. Yeah, maybe 6. That one's 6, sure. So I'll leave it there because that's where it's worn. I've locked that up, 313. So I've locked that up at 312 and about 8 or 9 tenths, halfway between the two. 312, yeah. Get this little bad boy in here. Let me go and get the bore gauge. These are fairly long. Oh yeah, they're massive guides. Cool. Yeah, so it's a 7.96 roughly millimeters. Just gonna write that down. 7.96. What did I just do in there? Yeah, 7.9394. Yeah. Cool. Alright, so we're just going to pop this in here like so, and we'll zero that gauge off. So it's over there, you can't really see it, I appreciate, but it's about there. It's about there. 1 second. Shoop. Right, so we have just over 2.5, so 2.5 at the top, and it's expanding to 3. So there's, you know, there's 5/10 of taper in them. Right, let's try this side of the exhaust. I think this is going to be a little bit bigger. Yeah, we got a fair amount of taper there on that, especially on that last bit. Whew, yeah, we're like 4 thou. Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I mean, that's a lot. That's a fair bit on it. Yeah, that's right at the very end. We're not worried about that. So we're 2.5 to 4 thou. So exhaust is 2.5 to 4 thou. Yes, as I rotate this, you can then see that there is a small section coming around now which hasn't been touched by the wheel, so we're going to get back in there and sort that. So yeah, here, once I show you, you'll be able to see that that is perfect all the way around. So once the head was cleaned up, you can see here that there is a lot of corrosion. In fact, the bit of corrosion there in the top left now was actually going through into the bore, and it's pretty bad all the way through. And I've started to grind that out, but you can see how much of the aluminium has been removed. And look at that bit there. So here I'm going to basically just grind it out with the Dremel. I find that the Dremel just gives a bit of stability and doesn't bounce off things so much. And yeah, you can see I've ground it out, but it is just continuing to go. So that one I've ground out, still more to go. Yeah, that is crazy. Straight into the bore. So that is getting rid of all of the corrosion, so I can weld this head up. So here I've gone through and welded most of the areas up. This is the first stage, and this will be peened as well, so I'll basically hit it at the ball end of a hammer. You can see I've done it a little bit there. But then there'll be other stages of welding and then repeening basically. But it's just trying to clear them all up and improve them. Pretty crazy, a lot of corrosion. So welding repairs, this hole down here, this hole up here, still got to weld in this one here, that one, this one down here, this one here, and this one here. This one leaks into the bolt hole, so obviously this was massive, but I've welded it up. We can see down there, I got a smoke tester on it. You can see it So here I'm drilling out the core, and it will just relieve some of the press fit that was in the guide. So I'm drilling away the top of the guide, and that's going to allow me to drive it out without knurling over the edges. So that's the cylinder head all finished off and looking quite nice. Still need to tidy up some of it, just deburr, but yeah, all came out good. Right, so I've got the head in the 33. I'm going to basically bring it down until I see all three angles come in, and then I'm just going to carry on down until the DTI gives me the right depth. And as you can see, all three angles come in. And the seats look lovely. That little bit of red there is actually a reflection off the machine, which is all red. Same again on this one. Do all the inlets and then do the exhaust separate. Just watching for the DTI to square off, and then perfect. Really nice seats to cut. And this is the run out test, and we got a really good run out on this one. This is intense, this gauge, so that's like 2-3 tenths. Seats cut in really nicely. Okay, so this is going to be seat to deck height, so I'm just zeroing the gauge off, and then we'll move into another one. So you've got a pointer that sits down on that seat and then just measures from the deck height, and you can see that that is absolutely spot on. And just to prove that, here are all 4 of the inlets, and you can zoom in, but you can basically see that every one of them is coming up within a couple of tenths most likely. Yeah, just really good numbers. And this is the exhaust. Obviously, I had to move the pointer because it's a smaller seat. You can see every one of these is also coming up pretty spot on. If you crash this down too hard, you do move the pointer, so sometimes it can happen. But yeah, numbers are good. And there they are, all cut. Everything came out really nice. Nice set of seats. And here are the rockers. So this is the last stage of the whole thing. Just give them a little polish, but actually they needed a good grind back as such, and here they are all done. So that's it, everything done on the head, and she's ready to go out.